page 10, paragraph page 864. That word was drive, new work type of lesson. Okay, so let's start with revision. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. First question. Okay, so is there anyone you can think of in whom you have such confidence that you could trust them to keep your greatest secret? Is there anyone you can think of in whom you have such confidence that you could trust them to keep your greatest secret? Yes or no?
Yes.
There's someone
There's
I
someone
can think
I
of
could
in
think of
whom I
in
have
whom
such
I have
confidence
such confidence
that I could
in
trust
that
them
I could
to
trust them
keep my
to
greatest
keep
secret.
my greatest secret.
Very good. What do we mean when we say that someone is full of self confidence? What do we mean when we say that someone is full of self confidence? When we say
Why
that
we
someone
say that
is
someone
full of
who is
self
full of
confidence, we
self-confidence,
mean
we
that
mean
they
that
are sure
they
of
are sure
themselves and
themselves
their
and
abilities.
their abilities.
How would you feel if we spoke to somebody in confidence about something, but they then told other people what you had discussed? How would you feel if you spoke to somebody in confidence about something, but they then told other people what you have discussed? If I spoke to
If I
somebody
spoke to
in
somebody
confidence
in
about
confidence
something,
about
but
something,
they then
but
told
they
other
told
people
other
what
people
I had
what
discussed,
we have discussed,
I'd feel
I feel angry.
angry. Very good. Would you be happy if your friend organized a birthday party for you in secret? Would you be happy if your friends organize a birthday party for you in secret? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'd be
I'd
happy
be
if
happy
my
if
friends
my friend
organize a birthday
organized a
party for
birthday
me
party for
in
me
secret.
in secret.
Very good. What does the word drag mean? What does the word drag mean? The word
The
drag
word
means
rub
to pull
means
something
to
heavy
pull something
along
heavy
the ground,
along the ground,
often with some
often with
difficulty.
some difficulty.
Very good. Give me an example of the word drag used figuratively. Give me an example of the word drag used figuratively, please. You mean to say,
You mean
you
to
dragged
say
me
you
all this
drag
way
me all this
just to
way
show me that?
just show me that?
Very good. What would I mean if I said the film was quite good, but it dragged a bit in the middle? What would I mean if I said the film was quite good, but it dragged a bit in the middle? If you said
If you
the
said
film was
a
quite good,
view was quite
but
good,
it dragged a
but
bit
it
in
dropped
the
a
middle,
bit in the
you'd
middle,
mean that
it
it
means
was
that
a bit
it
slow
was a bit
and
slow
boring in the
and
middle.
boring in the middle.
Very good. Give me an example of the word any used with the meaning of it's not important which. Give me an example of the word any used with the meaning of it's not important which, please. Any child can
Any
learn
child
to ride
can
a
learn
bicycle.
right logical.
One more. Any child can
Any
learn
child
to ride a
can learn
bicycle.
to ride a bicycle.
Greg, give me an example of the word some used when we're referring to a particular person. Give me an example of the word some used when we're referring to a particular person, please. Some idiot
Some
has broken
some,
the window. Some idiot
some idiot
has broken the
has
window.
broken at the window.
Very good. Okay. Why is it that in a thunderstorm we see first the light flash of lightning and then after a delay of a few seconds hear the thunder? Why is it that in a thunderstorm we first see the flash of lightning and then after a delay of a few seconds hear the thunder? In a thunderstorm,
In a
we first
thunderstorm,
see
we
the
first
flash of
see
lightning
flash of
and
lightning,
then
and
after a
then
delay
after
of
a
a few
delay of
seconds,
using
he,
it,
uh, after a delay of a
after a
few
delay of
seconds,
few seconds,
hear the thunder
hear the
because
thunder
sounds travel.
sounds
Because
travel
sounds travel
because sound travel
more slowly than light.
more slowly than light.
Very good. One more. In a thunderstorm,
In a
we
thunderstorm,
first see
we
the
first
flash
see
of
the
lightning,
flash of
and then
lightning,
after
and
a
then
delay
after a
of a
delay
few
of a
seconds,
few seconds,
hear the thunder
we hear the
because
thunder because
sounds travel
sounds
more
travel
slowly
more
than light.
slowly than light.
Very good. When does a camera need a flash to be able to produce a clear image? When does a camera need a flash to be able to produce a clear image? A camera needs a
After
flash. A
camera
camera
needs
needs a flash. Remember? A camera needs
a
a
camera
flash
needs a flash
to be able to
to be
produce
able
a
to
clear
produce a
image
good
when
clear
there's
image
isn't
when
enough
there's
natural
is
light. There isn't
there there isn't
enough
enough
natural light,
natural light
or when the lights
when the lights
inside the building
inside the
aren't
building
bright enough.
aren't bright enough.
Very good. Okay, next, what am I doing? What am I doing? You're making a
You're
signal
making a
for
signal
someone to
for
stop.
someone to stop.
Do you always get a good signal on your phone? Do you always get a good signal on your phone? Yes or no?
Yes,
I always
I
get a
always
good
get a
signal
good signal
on my
on my
phone.
phone.
Where is it easier to slide a heavy object across a floor if we first put a blanket or sheet under it? Is it easier to slide a heavy object across a floor if we first put a blanket or sheet under it? Yes, it's
Yes,
easier to
it's
slide a
easier to
heavy
slide
object
a heavy
across a
object
floor
across
if we first
floor. We first
put a blanket or
put
sheet
the blanket
under
or
it.
sheet under it.
Have you ever actually seen anyone slip on a banana skin? Have you ever actually seen anyone slip on a banana skin? Yes or no?
No,
I've never
I've
actually
never
seen
seen
anyone slip
anyone
on a
slip
banana
on a
skin.
banana skin.
Very good. Okay, what do we mean by onomatopoeia? What do we mean by onomatopoeia? By
By
onomatopoeia, we
onomatopoeia,
mean the
we mean
connection
the
between the
connection
sound
between the
and the
sound
meaning of the
and the
word.
meaning of the word.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. The car crashed
The car
into the
crashed
traffic
into
lights
the traffic
and broke
lights
them.
and broke them.
He crushed the piece of paper
He crushed a piece of
in
paper
his hand
in
and
his
threw it
hand
in the bin.
and threw it in the bin.
Right? If you heard a crashing sound outside your house in the middle of the night, would you get up and go out and see what had happened? If you heard a crashing sound outside your house in the middle of the night, would you get up and go out to see what had happened? Yes or no?
Yes,
If I heard
if
a
I heard
crashing
a
sound
crashing
outside
sound
my house
outside
in
my
the middle
house
of
in
the
the
night,
middle of the
I'd
night,
get up
I get
and
up
go out
and
to
go
see
out to
what
see
had happened.
what had happened.
Very good. Do young children enjoy splashing each other in swimming pools? Do young children enjoy splashing each other in swimming pools? Yes, young
Yes,
children
young children
enjoy splashing
enjoy
each other
splashing each
in
other
swimming
in
pools.
swimming
Well,
pools.
what am I doing? What am I doing? You're crushing a
You are
piece of
crushing a
paper
piece of
in your
paper
hand.
in your hand.
Very good. What do we use a saucer for? What do we use a saucer for? We use a
We
saucer
use a
to
saucer
stand a cup
to
on
stand a cup
in
of
order
in order
to
to
prevent any of the
prevent
liquid
any of
that
the
might
liquid
collect
that might
round the
collect
bottom of the
round the
cup,
bottom of the cup
getting onto the table
getting onto
or
the table
tablecloth
or
and
tablecloth
leaving a mark.
and leaving a mark.
Very good. Do the police store files on known criminals to help them fight crime? Do the police store files on known criminals to help them fight crime? Yes, the police
Is the
store
police
files
store
on
files
known criminals
on known criminals
to help them fight
to
crime.
help them fight crime.
Fight crime.
Fight
Very good.
find crime.
Do you manage to keep all the files on your computer carefully organized? Do you manage to keep all the files on your computer carefully organized? Yes or no?
No,
I don't
I'm
manage to
not
keep
managed
all the
to keep
files
all
on
the
my
files on
computer
my computer
carefully organized.
carefully organized.
Ah, me neither. Okay. What makes the color in cloth fade? What makes the color in cloth fade? Sunlight and washing
Sunlight
can
and
make
washing
the color
and
in
made
cloth
the color in clothes
fade.
lead
Very good.
fade.
Which are quicker to do up and undo, zips or buttons? Which are quicker to do up and undo, zips or buttons? Zips are quicker
Zips
to
are
do up
quicker to
and
do up
undo than
and under
buttons.
the buttons.
What happens if a knot if we don't tie it tightly enough? What happens to a knot if we don't tie it tightly enough? If we don't
If
tie
we
a
don't
knot
tie a knot
tightly enough,
tightly
it
enough,
will eventually
it will
come
eventually
undone.
undone.
Very good. Which verb do we use to describe the feeling that somebody wishes they could undo an action that they've done? Which verb do we use to describe the feeling that somebody wishes they could undo an action that they've done? We use the
We
verb
use
regret
the verb
to
regret
describe the
to
feeling
describe the
that
feeling
somebody
that
wishes they
somebody
could
wishes
undo
they
an
couldn't
action
undo
that they've
an
done.
action they've not.
Very good. When someone faints, how long does it usually take for them to regain consciousness? When someone faints, how long does it usually take for them to regain consciousness? When someone faints,
When
it
someone's
usually, when someone
when
faints,
someone faints,
It usually takes
It
about
usually takes about
how many minutes? Like when you faint, when you get up again,
uh,
like
10 minutes
to regain their
to
consciousness.
regain their consciousness.
Very good. Why do some people buy big cars despite the fact that they consume enormous amount of petrol? Why do some people buy big cars despite the fact that they consume enormous amount of petrol? Some people
Some
buy
people
big cars
big cars
despite the fact
despite
that
the
they
fact that
consume
they consume
enormous amount of
enormous
petrol
amount of petrol
because
because
yeah,
they like a big car to
that's correct.
drive.
They like big cars. Next. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? You're clapping
You're
your hands
rubbing your
together
hands
in
together
applause for
in
something.
applause or something.
Very good. What does an audience do when applauding a singer or an actor on stage? What does an audience do when applauding a singer or an actor on stage? An audience
An
claps
audience
and
claps
sometimes
and
cheer
sometimes
when
cheer
applauding a
when
singer
applauding a
or
singer
an
or
actor
an actor
on
on the
stage.
stage.
Very good. Give me some examples of different kinds of blade. Give me some examples of different kinds of blades, please. The blade of a
The
knife,
blade of a
sword
knife,
or razor,
sword or
a
razor,
blade of grass,
a blade of
a
grass,
shoulder blade,
a shoulder
a
blade,
blade of an oar,
a blade of an oar,
oar. Very good, an oar. An oar is like the paddle. Okay, next. What's a cork made of and what do we use it for? What's a cork made of and what do we use it for? A cork
a
is made
cork
of cork
is made of
and we
cork,
use it
and we
to
use
put
it
into
to
the
put
neck of a
into
bottle
the neck
in
of
order
a bottle in order
to stop the
to
liquid
stop
in
the
the
liquid
bottle
in the
escaping.
bottle escaping.
Very good. What do we use to remove a cork from a bottle? What do we use to remove a cork from a bottle? We use a
We use a
corkscrew
cork
to
from
remove
corkscrew to remove
a cork
a
from a bottle.
cork from a bottle.
Very good. If the staff in the shop were constantly rude to their customers, would it drive the customers away from the shop? If the staff in the shop were constantly rude to their customers, would it drive the customer away from the shop? Yes. If the
Yes,
staff in a
if the
shop
staff in the
were
shop
constantly
were
rude to
constantly
their
rude to
customers,
their
it'd
customers,
drive the
it would
customers
drive the
away
customers
from the
away
shop.
from the shop.
Are most trains in your country driven by electricity? Are most trains in your country driven by electricity? Yes or no?
Yes,
Most trains
most
in my
trains in
country
my
are
country
driven by
are driven
electricity.
by electricity.
Very good. And that's the end of our revision. Very good. Let's have new work. Okay, repeat environment.
Environment,
Very good. Okay, listen. Environment is a noun. It means the natural world, the surrounding or place where we live. For example, we need to use less energy and avoid using cars too often in order to protect our environment. The environment in a city is noisier than in a village. Let's practice. What kind of things can we do in our everyday lives to care for the environment? What kind of things can we do in our everyday lives to care for the environment? To care for
to
the
care
environment.
or live
We can
environment.
recycle,
We can
use
recycle,
less energy
use
in the home,
use energy in the home,
avoid using cars too
avoid
often,
using cars
cars
often,
too often,
too
etc.
often, etc.
Very good. Are you able to concentrate in noisy environments? Are you able to concentrate in noisy environments? Yes or no?
No,
I'm not able
I'm
to
not able
concentrate
to
in
concentrate
noisy
in
environments.
noisy environment.
Very good. Okay, next, let's have comparatives, big and small
Com-
difference. Okay,
com-
please read. Comparatives, big and
comparatives,
small
big and
differences.
small differences.
Very good. Okay, so let's talk about using comparatives with big and small differences. Okay, listen. As we know, comparatives form are used to communicate that there is a difference between two people or things. For example, when we say to somebody, John is taller than David, they understand that there is a difference in height. However, they do not know how big the difference is. If we want to communicate this information, we need to put other words before the comparative. To communicate that the difference is very big, we can put the words such as much, far, or a lot before the comparative. For example, John is far taller than David. To communicate that the difference is very small, we can use words such as slightly, a little, or a bit. For example, John is slightly taller than David. Okay, let's practice. When we're using comparative form, how can we communicate that the difference between the two people or things is very big? When we're using a comparative form, how can we communicate that the difference between two people or things is very big? When we're using
When
a comparative,
we are using a comparative,
one more, when we're using
when we are
a
using
comparative
a
form,
comparative
we can
form,
communicate
we can
that the
communicate
difference
that
between
difference
the
between
two people or
two
things
people or
is very
things
big
is
by
really
putting
big
words
by
such
putting
as
words
much,
as,
such
as much
as
such
much,
as much,
far, or a
far,
lot
or a lot
before the comparative.
before the comparative.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. My new phone
My
is
new
a lot
phone
better
is a lot
than my
better
last one.
than my last one.
Where and how can we communicate that the difference between two people or things is very small? And how can we communicate that the difference between two people or things is very small? We can communicate
We can
that the
communicate
difference
that the
between two
difference
people
between
or
two
things
people or
is very
things
small
is
by
very small
using words
by using
such
words
as
such
slightly,
as
a little,
slightly,
or a
a
bit.
little, or a bit.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. The weather today
The weather
is
today
slightly
is
colder
slightly
than
colder
yesterday.
than yesterday.
Where is China slightly bigger than England? Is China slightly bigger than England? No.
Is
China
no,
isn't
China
slightly
isn't
bigger
slightly
than
bigger
England.
than
It's
England.
far bigger
It's
than
far
England.
bigger than England.
Where are you a lot older than you were 2 weeks ago? Are you a lot older than you were 2 weeks ago? No, I'm not
No,
a lot
I'm
older
not a lot
than
of
I was
older than
2 weeks
I
ago.
was 2 weeks
I'm a
ago.
little older
I'm a little
than I
older
was 2 weeks
than I
ago.
was 2 weeks ago.
Very good. Is traveling by taxi much more expensive than traveling by bus? Is traveling by taxi much more expensive than traveling by bus? Yes,
Yes,
traveling by taxi
traveling by
is much
taxi
more
is much
expensive
more
than
expensive
traveling by
than
bus.
traveling by bus.
If a hairdresser cut your hair slightly shorter than you wanted, would you complain? If a hairdresser cut your hair slightly shorter than you wanted, would you complain? Yes or no?
No,
If a
if
hairdresser
a
cut my
hairdresser
hair
cut my
slightly
hair
shorter than
slightly
I
shorter
wanted,
than I
I
wanted,
wouldn't complain.
I wouldn't
Complain.
complain.
Very good. Okay, next, listen. If we want to emphasize a superlative, we can use the words by far. For example, she is by far the tallest member of her family. Let's practice. Is Russia by far the biggest country in Europe? Is Russia by far the biggest country in Europe? Yes, Russia's
Yes,
by far
Russia
the
by
biggest
far
country
the biggest
in
country
Europe.
in Europe.
Very good. Next, repeat. Sorrow,
Sorrow,
tragedy.
tragedy.
Very good. Okay, listen. Sorrow is a noun. It is a feeling of sadness, especially because someone died or left. For example, I felt great sorrow when the accident occurred. Tragedy is a noun. It means a very sad event or situation, especially one involving death or suffering. For example, my friend's father died in an accident. It was a very bad tragedy. Let's practice. Do people feel great sorrow when a tragedy occurs? Do people feel great sorrow when a tragedy occurs? Yes, people
Yes,
feel great
people
sorrow
feel great
when a
sorrow
tragedy
when a
occurs. Occurs.
tragedy occurs.
Very good. Next, repeat. Fond of. Homer. Fond of.
Mm, fond of.
Very good. Okay, fond of is an adjective. It means to like someone or something so much. It means you like it so much. For example, I like playing with children because I like them. I'm fond of children, so I like children very much. I like to travel, or we could say I'm fond of traveling. Let's practice. Are you fond of children? Are you fond of children? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm fond of
I'm
children.
fond of children.
Are you fond of traveling? Are you fond of traveling? Yes or no?
Yes,
I'm fond of
fond
traveling.
of traveling.
Very good. Okay, so now let's move on to reading. Okay, very good. So our reading is at stage 8. Please start at page 667. Headward Thorn Rose. Stage 8, 667.
Thorn rose.
Mhm.
Name your flowers that protected by thorns.